Hello, this is D, and I'm back with another video. Now, today I have some interesting stories. Well, I had some really interesting stories or topics to talk about. I was going to come here and tell you guys about the next generation Xbox, how apparently, according to Jez Gordon over at Windows Central, it's going to be a next generation console that's going to be heavily Windows dependent. So manufacturers will be able to make their own devices. It's going to be like a Surface-like reference type of console, and other companies can make it. Now, he kind of retracted that tweet, so I don't really think it was a good topic to talk about, to be honest with you guys, because today, or I should say yesterday, Sony dropped a bombshell. They announced their plans for PC, and I gotta say, it is making news. Now, a lot of gamers are talking about it, and a lot of PlayStation guys are like happy. They're like, oh, look, day and date's not happening on PC. Haha, you got to get a PlayStation. And I also see a lot of gamers out there that are upset that the games are not coming to the PC, that are on the PC market. And for some strange reason, PlayStation gamers think that PC players will abandon their PC and get a PlayStation in order to play certain exclusives. Now, Sony doesn't completely think this, because their live service games are coming day and date to the PC, which is pretty big news. Now, after Helldivers 2 had such a successful launch, it blew away everyone's expectations. Sony's not going to miss out on that money. So they said going forward, our live service games, they will be coming to PC day and date. I have it queued up here, so we're going to hear what Herman Hulse, who's going to be a co-CEO of the PlayStation brand, and he went into detail on how PlayStation exclusives that are live service games will be coming to PC day and date.
Indeed, we are bringing our titles to the PC platform, and we have a dual approach here. On the live service side, we are releasing our titles simultaneously, so day and date, on PlayStation 5 and PC, but with our tentpole titles, our single-player or narrative-driven titles that are, as you saw in the presentation, the backbone of what PlayStation Studios has delivered in recent years and in our history, we take a more strategic approach, and we introduce our great franchises to new audiences, and we're finding new audiences that are potentially going to be very interested in playing, for example, sequels on the PlayStation platform. We have high hopes that we're actually able to bring new players into PlayStation at large, but into PlayStation platforms specifically. Actually, the same goes for the work that we do with extending our great properties onto other media, such as television series and film, for example, as you have seen with The Last of Us on HBO or Gran Turismo, the film, that brings in new players into our franchises as well.
So there you have it for yourself. They are bringing their live service games day and date to the PC. However, they seem to think that PC players will want to play their sequels and thus go out and get a PlayStation 5 or a PlayStation 5 Pro. And that's where my opinion differs. I do not think that this is a winning strategy. Now, I wrote over on my X account, day and date live service games from Sony on PC. However, single player games will not come day and date. Sony fails to realize that PC players will just wait rather than buy a console that performs far worse than their rig. It's not a winning strategy, in my honest opinion, of getting more users. Now, we saw when Helldivers 2 dropped day and date, I think they sold almost 6 million copies. Like, this was trending like the #1 game on Steam. Everyone was talking about this game. Everyone was playing the game. I played it myself. It is a fun game. But then, of course, Sony took their foot and inserted it into their mouth and required that you have a PSN account. Now, they were going to issue an update. I believe it's supposed to be sometime this month, that would have forced you to get a PSN account or link your PSN account to your Steam account or to the game. And a lot of PC gamers said, no way, we're not doing this. And they started to refund the game. It was really bad. It was so bad that Sony had to change route, and they had to circle back and say, no, it was a mistake. We're not doing that. You don't have to have a PSN account in order to play Helldivers 2. So PC gamers are not to be played with. PC gamers are also very patient. Now, Sony games, when they came out first on PC, they did really high numbers. But after a while, it started to dwindle down because the staggered releases just doesn't work on PC. Now, Sony is aware of this, and I do believe that they're going to lower the window. It's not going to be 2 years you're waiting to get a game. I think maybe after a year. I think like 8 months to a year, realistically, they're going to drop some of these exclusives on PC. A lot of PC gamers are going to wait. They have more capable hardware, and when that game comes to PC, it looks, plays, runs better. PC gamers have a lot of games to play. Microsoft Game Pass games are on PC. Now, I had one user in my comment section, I don't know if I can find it here, and he was basically saying, oh, how is this strategy working for Microsoft? And I basically said that Microsoft Game Pass is actually seeing the largest growth in Game Pass, and it's because of Game Pass PC. So yes, their strategy is working. I can't imagine what the Game Pass numbers would be like if they didn't have PC included in that. So yes, it is a winning strategy for Microsoft. Now, as we go through some of the comments here, this guy says, why is it a winning strategy? What you fail to realize is people are already doing it. Only PCMR ducks will wait. Real gamers follow games. In any case, Sony throws the bone to PCMR, relaunch old title, full price with PC bells and whistles. And he's basically saying that's how Sony's making their money. Now, if Sony dropped these games day and date, their numbers would be substantially higher. What happens when you release a game a year, 2 years later? People's interest for the game wanes. There's a lot of spoilers on the internet. People just watch the game on YouTube, and they have no interest in the game anymore. This happens a lot, but when you have the game coming out day and date on PC, on PlayStation, and everybody is talking about it, you want to be involved in the conversation. You want to see what this game is all about. The hype is at its highest or at its peak when the game launches. So it just doesn't make sense to, think that PC gamers are just going to forgo their PC and come over to the PlayStation brand. Now, granted, let's say 2%, or let's be generous and say 5% of PC gamers, they come over and they get a PlayStation. You still have 95% of PC gamers not playing your game or waiting for your game and possibly losing interest in your game. When you can have all PC gamers available to get your game at launch, I don't understand how that is not a better situation. PC gamers and console gamers are two separate gamers. Yes, there's a little bit of overlap, but it's more for people that have expendable income or just hardcore gamers. The general, or I should say the casual gamer, is definitely not doing that. The general gamer is definitely not doing that as well. It's really kind of a niche market of PC gamers and console gamers. Now, another guy in the comment section said, FOMO is powerful, my friend, very powerful. And I replied, to PC guys, the same guys that told Sony to take your Helldivers 2 and stuff it, we don't want any PSN. Like I said, don't underestimate the PC gamer. Now, I saw an interesting stat here that was posted by Brap, and it breaks down gaming platforms played by generations. Now, this is an ESA Essential Facts 2024. I guess they polled people. So these are the results. Now, Gen Alpha and Gen Z, I didn't even know there was a Gen Alpha. I just know about Gen Z. So I guess I'm getting up there. So Gen Z and Gen Alpha, we see 54% play on PC, 58% play on consoles, 77% play on mobile, and 16% use virtual reality. Now, when we go over to the millennials, 78% play mobile, 48% play PC, 55% play consoles, and 18% play virtual reality. Now, Gen X, which is my gen, 81% plays mobile, 39% plays PC, and 35% plays console, with 8% playing virtual reality. And the boomers, I had to laugh when I saw this, the boomers. The boomers have 79% that play on mobile, 43% play on PC. So the boomers, they're all about the PC. 7% play consoles and 2% play virtual reality. And I probably understand why they don't play virtual reality, because if you don't have your VR legs, man, it can be very disorientated. And I guess boomers at that stage, the balance probably isn't the same. All jokes aside, though, we see that the boomers, they do play PC the most, followed by Gen X. The millennials don't play it as much. And I would say Gen Z, they play it a little bit more than the millennials. So there's kind of a split balance here. Now, these are two separate markets. So Sony is kind of pushing themselves out of 54% of Gen Z gamers, out of 48% of millennials, out of 39% of Gen Xers. Okay? These are PC gamers. Like I said, most of them don't overlap. They really don't, especially when you spend, a good amount of money on your PC and it doesn't compare to the consoles. It just runs laps around it. It's very jarring to go and play those games. Now, games that are 30 FPS, I can't play them at all on console. I'm not looking at them. Now, games that are 60 FPS, yes, I'll play them on console, but I'm a rare case. And of course, I got a YouTube channel. I follow PlayStation, I follow Xbox, I follow PC, I follow all consoles. So of course, I got to play games on everything, because what am I going to talk about if I'm not playing these games? Okay, I'm not trying to make this long-winded. My point is that they're separate markets, and I just don't understand why Sony just doesn't accept that and release their single-player games day and date on PC. I think it would generate a lot more revenue for Sony. Even if they did it 6 months after, I still think that they could get substantial amount of sales from PC users and still, keep the console guys happy, because there's a 6-month window and people that are on console, or maybe the few that can't wait, they would grab a console. But like I said, those are few and far between. Now, I see that Porter Rock actually spoke on the situation, and he says, when you spend $5K on a PC because they told you PlayStation was going day and date. And I like Porter Rock, but he got cooked in the comment section here, because who is paying $5K for their PC? First of all, the average user is not paying $5K. I would say the average price for a PC in the United States of America is probably around $1,200, and it's going to outperform all of the consoles by a pretty substantial margin. Yeah, most people just don't spend $5K on a PC. Now, if you're creating content like me, or you want a 4090 with all the ray tracing bells and whistles, sure. But the 4090 is not the top selling GPU from NVIDIA. It's like a 4070 or a 3070 or a 4060. These are the top selling GPUs from NVIDIA. AMD, their top selling GPU is not a 7900 XTX. It's the mid to lower tier GPUs that sell the most. Anyway, so when I see posts like this, comments like this, the no day and date announcements hitting for real. Like, if you really truly are a Sony supporter and you want Sony to do the best, releasing their games day and date on PC is going to net them the highest revenue. You just don't want Sony to release their games day and date because you've clowned Microsoft for doing it. But Microsoft has been doing quite well with their PC Game Pass. Like I said earlier in the video, it's surpassing the console users. They're seeing the most growth in the PC sector. Sony is seeing that too, and slowly they're going to lower the window of time that they release their first-party exclusives on the PC that are single-player experiences. It's not going to be 2 years anymore. So Sony is seeing this too, and they're definitely seeing this when they're releasing their live service games day and date. They saw how much money Helldivers 2 made. These are two separate markets. Don't expect PC guys to abandon PC and say, oh my gosh, I gotta get a PlayStation because it's inferior hardware. And for a PC user that is strictly PC, it's not something that is viable to them. Like I said, maybe a few percentage, 2 to 5% of PC gamers get a PlayStation or crossplay, but for the most part, they are separate markets. Now, I had to insert this into the video because I almost forgot to talk about this, that Sony released their profits from generation to date. And everyone is making a big deal that this generation is the highest or most profitable generation to date. Now, as you can see over here, they're at 10 billion. And of course, the PlayStation 5 generation is not over. The PlayStation 4 is pretty much done. However, they still do sell quite a bit of games on the PlayStation 4. Now, as you can see, their margins are higher for their profits here, definitely. Now, it comes down to a few things. They have sold less consoles this generation than previous generation. However, there are microtransactions this generation, and microtransactions definitely increase the revenue on a lot of games. So this also has to be put into consideration. As well, their games are available on PC, where that wasn't really the case with the PlayStation 4. Now, I'm not trying to downplay. This is good news that the PlayStation 5 generation is very profitable. But the reason why the profit is higher is because it is on more platforms and because of the microtransactions, because of their peripherals. They have, all of the headsets that they released. They have the PlayStation Portal. They have the PlayStation VR 2. They have a lot more devices. They have a lot more users that they have access to, like I said, because of the PC. And this is why their revenue is higher. So it's good news. The PlayStation brand is in a good place. They're making revenue, but let's not try to pretend here that it's not because they have access to the PC market and because they have more peripherals and that microtransaction is not a thing. Because in the PlayStation 4 era, the PlayStation 3 era, microtransactions were not a thing. Of course, we had DLC, but we didn't have microtransaction to the levels that we have it in today's games. For instance, NBA 2K24, for haircuts, for shoes, you're spending a lot of real currency to get this stuff in game. And there's a lot of gamers that spend a lot of money. WWE 2K24. A lot of people are grinding to get certain packs. They're paying money to get virtual currency so they can buy these card packs that unlock wrestlers. So this is where a lot of these companies are making their money. They're making it on microtransactions this generation. I just wanted to point that out. Now, a lot of gamers want to use this and say, see, their strategy is working. They're making lots of money. That's not the point. The point is, if Sony released their games day and date on PC, they would be making more money. They would have access to 1.86 billion PC gamers. I said billion. That is a lot of PC gamers. Now, someone can fact check me on that. Maybe I'm off a little bit on some of the numbers, but it's definitely billions of PC gamers out there. And in my opinion, it just doesn't make sense to not release your single player games day and date on PC. You're just going to make more money. But to release it 2 years out, I just think makes absolutely zero sense. At the bare minimum, for Sony standards, I would say it should be a year later that these games come to the PC. And when Sony sees more revenue coming in from their live service games, trust me, they're going to slowly start to creep it a little bit closer. It'll be 8 months. It'll be 6 months. Will they go day and date? I don't know. I think that's the right thing to do, but knowing Sony, perhaps they won't. Not going to remain at 2 years, especially when Sony came out earlier in the year and said they're going to be more aggressive with their PC releases. Being more aggressive is bringing titles day and date, like they said with their live services, and also not staggering out so long their first-person exclusives to the PC. You're going to see that window shortened. And I know a lot of you guys are in the comment section right now typing away, and I'm just going to say this. Helldivers 2 sold more on PC than it did on the PlayStation because more users had access to the game on PC. The numbers just don't lie. By not releasing your single player games day and date, you are losing potential revenue. And that's a lot of people to not have access to your game. To think that a large or even a substantial portion of the 1.86 billion PC gamers are going to buy a PlayStation 5 or a PlayStation 5 Pro, in my honest opinion, is asinine. Sony, whenever they have to change something, they always do it kicking and screaming. Microsoft made the transition and they're seeing the benefits of it. Sony sees these benefits as well. That's why they're releasing their live service games day and date on the PC. Their single player experiences, they feel that gamers playing some of these games on PC will want to play the sequels on the PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation 5 Pro, and that they're going to go out and grab the PlayStation console when these games come out. And that simply is just not the case. Anyways, I want to know what you guys think about this. Do you think that PC gamers with their 5K rigs are punching the air right now, that console games are not coming day and date from the PlayStation to their platform? Or do you think they don't care and they'll just wait to whenever these games come on PC? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Like I usually say, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.